All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and along with me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Odos? Welcome back for another edition, a very special edition here at Football on the Know. We are live on location at the beautiful Restaurant 605, right down here, 605 New Scotland Avenue in Albany, New York. Come on down. If you're not doing anything, come check out the Monday Night Football game between the Giants and the Cowboys. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's super exciting. This rivalry has been here for a very long time. Surprisingly enough, too, we're looking at this. So who would have thought even week 3 that the Giants would be 2-0 and the Cowboys, 1-1 right now?
That's right.
But that's what injuries happen all the time. And Dak Prescott, you see how important he is to this team. They fall week 1 against a Tampa Bay team that even really, so far this year, hasn't really looked very good.
Yeah,
even,
not
Joe.
very
they haven't
impressive.
looked like the teams of the past. So, I mean, they fall to them, lose him in that game, but lo and behold, Cooper Rush comes in last week and ends up pulling out a win somehow.
How does that work? The backup, Cooper Rush, to the rescue for the Cowboys last week and beats the Bengals of all teams. A very heavily favorite coming into this season is still tripping over their feet, still can't get a win, struggling big time. And now we look at the Giants and the Cowboys. I mean, could anybody predict this season so far? I mean, yeah, we're only, week 3. We've completed 3 weeks. But the thing of it all is it's been so unpredictable. I mean, we're seeing teams that were favored to, do some damage in the league, struggling still. I mean, you look at the Raiders at 0-3. They're a team that everybody was all high on because of their offense, their new coaching staff. But the Giants, even with the GM change, the coaching change, new offense, new defense being implemented, they've still been able to find ways to win. And that's what makes this game great, because it is so unpredictable, because there is such parity now in the league. I mean, you look at all these favorited teams that we're supposed to just wash the floor with a lot of other teams, mediocre teams, and they're struggling. So it's just created an even playing field throughout the league, and so far it's a roller coaster between who's going to be the winner or the loser.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's all over. You talk about week to week. We had a lot of games this weekend again, which were a lot of big surprises again. Some upsets coming along too as well. A tight game between Chicago and Houston. What about that one, Joe? I mean, that one came down to the wire, and really it's down to turnovers a lot in this league. Houston had a chance to get it there. They're so close. They remind me of the Lions of old, kind of. They're last year, even
last season,
getting there, getting close, but just can't muster up that win. Can't get it there. Chicago barely edges them out.
And that game almost went to another tie.
Yeah,
it was close. So I mean, it would have been 2 ties under their belt just to show everybody, hey, listen, we're not the push around, stepbrother that you can just knock us around and treat us like garbage. We are here to play. And they've done that thus far. They've really proven so far through 3 weeks, that they are a competitive team, and you just can't overlook them.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. I mean, it's been a crazy week. You said it's nice here. It's crazy.
Beautiful.
We are here at Restaurant 605 in Albany. It used to be Andy's place, and let me tell you, it is a lot different. They want to.
Yeah.
It was a sports bar before, but this place is a sports bar masked as an upscale restaurant, Joe. It is beautiful here. The woodwork, the music, the TVs everywhere. Oh, I can smell the food from here. Right. I didn't have dinner yet, so I'm struggling. These guys over here are just teasing me over here with what
food.
It looks glorious.
But yeah, great atmosphere. Yeah. I mean, this is a beautiful place to come watch football, watch a different sport venue, whatever you wish. I mean, they got a bunch of TVs all around the bar, on the wall. I mean, this is the place to be right now.
All right, we've got No Donnie's in the house with us tonight, Joe.
What's going on,
says,
No
Go
Donnie?
Cardinals. How about them Cowgirls? Go G-Men. Nice. No Donnie, we love you, brother. How about them Cardinals? They failed me this week, brother. You're talking about the Cardinals. Oh, man, I thought they might be able to edge them out here. Thought we could get it in there.
I mean, I thought
because just the way the Rams have been playing, they've been getting a slow start. If you're the Super Bowl champions, you've got to come out this next year swinging. Prove to everybody that you are the champions for a reason.
Absolutely.
That you belong here, that you are the defending champion. You are the team to beat. But really, looking at this team and even the Bengals for that matter, looking at the two teams that were in the Super Bowl,
Right.
they look pretty terrible right now, Joe. Look at the Cardinals. Yeah, eventually they got the better of the Jets, but at first, starting out, it really didn't look so hot for them still.
Absolutely, and that's the craziness that is the NFL today. I mean, just when you think you have a team pegged, they let you down or they surprise you. I mean, the Rams. What's going on in LA? Because this is a team that was heavily favored. Obviously because they were Super Bowl champions, but they did go through some changes, which is going to alter that team just a little bit. No more Von Miller, you know what I mean? And that was kind of a big change. Like, yeah, he helped create pressure and what have you, but the big thing is like Aaron Donald returning, almost near retirement, was actually ready to retire, and the LA Rams held those papers back just long enough to convince him to come back for another season. So even with the changes, with now having Allen Robinson as like the so-called number one, to pair him up with Cooper Kupp, and it's not Odell, and you know what I mean? And Robert Woods is now not there anymore. So it's like they did go through, minor changes, but they still should be able to put on a good product on the football field. And we just haven't seen that thus far.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, we'll see that this season's all up and down. Another, I think, big game here. Let's just talk about the biggest game of the weekend. Cleveland and Pittsburgh was good on Thursday, but the Buffalo-Miami game, Joe, we got to get down to it.
Man.
We talked about this before it happened last Wednesday on our show. We said it was going to be close. We said it was going to be knockout, drag-out. We said the weather was going to be a factor. And for the Buffalo Bills, it was a major factor, Joe. So much they were dropping like flies. Like it was crazy how they were getting overheated, and it made me think even too. It's like when they built that stadium, did Miami already have a thing in play to think that when the sun sets, it's on that visiting team at the end of the afternoon, right when the sun turns at that time.
Right.
They're sitting cool in the shade there, while
Everything
meanwhile
is
the
a
Buffalo
strategy.
Bills are just baking to death. And you could see the difference here. They were just struggling, stopping, getting IVs. I think even they had a stoppage of play. The referees stopped the play without even charging a timeout to either team. Because I think they even felt bad. They're like, everybody water break. Or just everybody fluids. You get your fluids, get your electrolytes. Everybody take it in.
I mean, honestly, everything is a strategy in the NFL. Even as simple as location of the stadium, the direction of the stadium where the visiting team is going to be standing on the sidelines. It's all strategy. So yeah, absolutely. Of course, when they built that stadium, it was with the mindset of keeping the visiting team in the blazing sun as long as possible.
And what did you think of that game? How did the Buffalo Bills play, and what did you think about the Miami Dolphins? Are they a legit team now here, Joe?
I mean, listen, we said last week that against the Ravens was going to be a true test for them. They overcame it. Surprise, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say like surprising because they're not any good, but we've seen this before where it was a promising team from the Dolphins a couple years ago, and we're like, oh man, is now the time to jump on the bandwagon and say now they're going to be winners. And now here comes this season, and we're like, this team could be legit, but we've seen it before and been failed by them before. So it's kind of hard to trust them. So now you're saying, okay, they beat the Ravens. Excellent. Big step. A big game to win. And now we come into this week and we're like, oh, here we go. Buffalo Bills versus Dolphins. Division rival. It doesn't get any bigger than this. And this is going to be the biggest test because it seems like they keep taking another step up the ladder and conquering every team that faces them. And you look at what they've done to the Bills. I mean, to be able to hang around in that game and then just kind of grind it out and finish the Buffalo Bills. It was... the Dolphins are legit. I mean, they've beaten early in the season under a new coaching staff, going through the same kind of hurdles that the Giants have gone through thus far with a new staff, new scheme, new everything, new players, and they're getting it done. They're getting their job done. They're making it work, and they're executing on all cylinders. They are just outplaying every team that steps in front of them. So now, big move by beating the Ravens. Also now moving in to now beating the Bills. Huge step for the Dolphins as a franchise and a team. Now you look at them, what can they do next? What's going to be the next challenge for them? So that's going to be interesting to watch. And we hear out of Miami as of right now that Tua is not his healthiest after 3 weeks of football. We talked about this before about how he has to stay healthy. He is that leader for that offense and needs to remain on the football field. We're hearing that now he's got a couple of different injuries. We don't know how severe they are, but it maybe it does ball up into this week where at the latter part of the week they got to make a decision whether he's healthy enough to play or not. And if he misses a game, it's going to derail the momentum that this team has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and you covered a lot there. I was kind of sidetracked by the food I was getting sent over there, too. It looks amazing, right?
It's great atmosphere.
Big portions, too. You want to talk about bang for your buck here. These guys are what get it done. But the Buffalo Bills, again, they came into that stadium and just really felt the heat there. And I think Miami got to give them credit for what they did because, that defense has been really a strong. So everybody talks about the offense and the weapons that they brought. You've got Jalen Waddle. You've got, Tyreek Hill on the opposite side, too. The weapons that they have, right. But that offense has been pretty amazing or that defense has been amazing for them, and they were stopping the Bills to an extent though, because the Bills though, you think about it, they were still driving and they were getting the ball down there. It just happened to be stopped drives and not coming up with points. And turnovers. I mean, there's a few turnovers back and forth. How about that hit on Dawson Knox, too? How about that? That could have been your decapitation of the week, brother. And that was a nice legal hit, too. That's what you want to see. You see the lower in the shoulder, but hit another shoulder, laid them right out. But the Buffalo Bills, they can't complain about this game. They played out. They just got flat out beat. They had opportunities to win multiple times. They missed the field goal. That came back to haunt them in the end. Josh Allen missing that touchdown in the corner and just kind of throwing it in the dirt. Looked very reminiscent of Dak Prescott trying to hit Zeke Elliott, in the backfield in a one playoff game last year, I think it was. Couldn't get it done there, and he screwed up. Same type of deal. So he was under a lot of pressure. Not so much. He didn't see a lot of that this year so far. He's a big stature type of guy. Go out and get those runs, get the hard yardage. But you saw him really get pressured a lot in this game. And due to injuries, though, their offensive line was going down. Like I said, out with the small little injuries here and there, the heat exhaustion on top of it. And when you don't have that protection there, it makes your offense a lot more weaker. And they weren't running the ball as much either. They had a couple big runs. You saw your man Zach Moss right there pull off a big ass run, along the sidelines there, and even Singletary did well at times, but they kind of. In that type of game, I think they just went away from the run because I feel they didn't have that force and those guys pushing in to try and drive that ball. They wanted to just air it out a little bit, and it ended up kind of cost them in the end.
Well, the thing is, too, is that's when pressure builds, right? In games. When you got to get the drive done, you got to get down there and score. I mean, pressure builds on every player out there. So pressure builds on the quarterback. Pressure's on the offensive line to keep performing. Don't miss your blocks. Don't miss your checks that you have to pay attention to the center. The receivers got to read the same thing that the quarterbacks read on the field. So there's a lot of pressure that gets built up, especially when it's all on you. You guys got to get down there. You guys have to score to either stay in the game or get ahead. And they just didn't get it done. It was let's just say what it was. That game was the epitome of good football. That was everybody gave it. They went all out, both teams, and just one made more execution on plays than the other. That's really what it is.
Yeah, and when you talk about Tua, I mean, wouldn't you know it right after the game, the NFLPA comes out and they said, hey, we want to investigate what's going on with the Miami Dolphins because it is clear what happened there, Joe. I mean, we saw it out there. Once he went down and then he came up stumbling a little bit and then his teammates even got next to him. We're like, here, we're going to – it's like, you're a bouncer. It's going to kindly escort you out here, buddy, and keep you standing up. Just don't try to walk. Just stand here. Right. Just smile, let him come to you.
Just try to level out.
And you know the reaction. You see it. I've had 2 concussions, Joe.
Yeah.
I know exactly how they happened to me. And people even ask me, like, how do you know if you had a concussion then? Because it's the different feeling. You're in a different place. For me, it was just like I was still aware like this, but I couldn't think of proper words for a thing. Like I couldn't tell you what this was down here, a table or something like that. I could picture it in my head. Couldn't do it. And you saw with that snapping of the neck back and hitting the back of his head, clear concussion. I thought he was done. He went in at the half, thought he was going to be out. Teddy Bridgewater comes in and looked really bad. And I was even talking to my son about this. I'm like, well, Bridgewater, he's a veteran. He's done pretty well to be that fill-in guy for some of these other teams. He's been on enough. Fighting for a spot there when he was back in Denver. but he didn't look comfortable at all either. That Bills defense, I was talking about the way the Miami defense was playing. That Bills defense, despite the injuries that they had, they were balling out pretty good too as well early on. Yeah. But he wasn't able to get it done, and I think that's what they saw. They're like, man, this is a contender in our division. We really want to sneak one out of here because I think they thought if we go back to Buffalo, it's going to be a lot harder. Plus, Micah Hyde's going to be there too.
Micah Hyde might not be there.
Well, who knows?
He's right now. It looks like he's going to go on to IR.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so season-ending surgery possibly. But to have all their personnel there, and it's going to be a lot tougher with those fans to win in Buffalo.
Right. And that's the thing, too, is that you have the Buffalo Bills crowd that gets involved in everything, and things get loud, just like it was in Miami. Things get, the tensions rise, and you got to kind of overcome it. And the Buffalo Bills went down to Miami, and they just couldn't get it done. So we'll see what happens in Buffalo. And just to touch on the Tua situation, it was definitely poorly managed by the Dolphins. For concussion protocol and what they have to go through just to make sure that he doesn't have one. What are the for the flags to any red flags that was given right on the football field, you saw it, that he was wobbly, he wasn't sure where he was. You could just kind of give that sense. They should have took him off. They should have analyzed him. And I understand. They're like, hey, we want to get this game so bad. We are so close to ending this game and getting out of here with a win, that they kind of left him in there. And I really kind of wonder how far this investigation is actually going to go, because we already heard that the announcement NFL is going to, but is it going to be one of these things where the NFL starts to investigate and they're like, you know what, this is kind of good for football. The Dolphins are doing really well. And do we really want to penalize this team? Do we really want to, or do we want to just let them go with the momentum? So let's watch and keep close eye on that and see where it ends up.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, that was a great game. Went down to the wire. And for the Bills offensive coordinators here, even the camera on them flipping out in the in the box. I mean, I think that was a little extreme. Yes, you lost the game, but come on, you really start smashing things. But yeah, what a good game. And again,
amazing.
yeah. But then talk about some of these different upsets that happened. I mean, do you really call the Kansas City and Indianapolis game an upset? I don't know, but for now, so. I think at this point, the way Indianapolis has been playing, and Kansas City, seemed like they were just back to business as usual, right?
They're not the same team,
this season.
But the Chiefs aren't the same, but they're still getting the job done. And we noticed a few skirmishes too on the sideline. Eric arguing with Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines, and you got to wonder what that was about. Was it the plays that Patrick Mahomes didn't agree with, but they still had to do them, and is it the right situation to do them? And then you look at the Colts. I'm sorry, Colts have been struggling big time. You look at Week 1, they played the Texans. Texans ended up in a tie. The Texans almost beat them and shocked everybody. And then you look at Week 2, and the Colts kind of still weren't themselves. They still were struggling. And then for them to come back in Week 3 and just shockingly play so much better, and against one of the former Super Bowl champions like the Kansas City Chiefs, they might not have Tyreek Hill, but they're still a pretty darn good team. And the Colts, that was a clear-cut upset in my eyes.
Absolutely. And before we get to even some more about that, you said a really good team, and it reminded me of our friends at Mohawk Honda, Joe.
Right.
A really good team. They care about you. They do everything they can to make your service visit great, your buying experience great. It's where they go out of their way to please you. The best slogan in the world, and it is truly what they do. And just like that, handling the summer, smoothing through that, but now it's getting brisk out there. It is fall.
It is
crisp
fall.
Morning air, pumpkin muffins, beautiful foliage, and just like that, fall leaves are falling, and it's beautiful here in upstate New York.